Folks, welcome to Eagles versus Falcons Week 2 recap with Nicky Stees. Please do me a favor, make sure to like and subscribe to both my channel and the Hardcore Sports Network. I'm sure most of you have, but if you haven't by now, here's the link for you guys. First to my channel, then to the Hardcore Sports Network. And you know what you can tell by the tone of my voice what we going to talk about. You already know what's coming. Some of you may have seen my YouTube short last night where I just went on. I roasted the Eagles like minutes after the game was over. I at least you dropped 3 fucks in that 1 minute short last night. That's how upset I was about it. I'm just going off about the Saquon drop pass and the defense not doing anything and the fact that we could have knelt down because that was my final impression of the game. That's the thing we remember last. And I remember just venting frustration out, like, unbelievable. This was the Seattle game from last year all over again. As soon as Saquon dropped that pass, I had a bad feeling about this. I'm like, is this going to be a fucking another one of these games? And then they flashed the graphic across the screen. Eagles lost 3 games with the lead in less than 2 minutes last season when the Falcons took over. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, here we go again. It's last season all over again. And there were signs of it throughout the game. The constant penalties, the defense getting no pressure on Cousins all game long, similar to us versus opposing teams last year. And I'm thinking here, having flashbacks all over again, late in the game. And then sure enough, guess what happens after I saw that graphic? And I thought, oh my gosh, here we go again. What do the Eagles do? You guessed it. They end up losing the game on a last-minute touchdown. And then they try to get the ball back with 2 timeouts, mind you. First, he get a completion to Goddard close to midfield. He called a timeout. Okay, he did something, but we still got to get another play. Hurts rolls to his left, throws into double coverage. Jesse Bates has the pick. As soon as that happened, forget about it. I just turned off the TV. Didn't even watch the kneel down. Sat there for a few minutes like this. Quiet. Sulking about it. And then I picked up my phone, stepped outdoors, recorded my YouTube short, uploaded it. And now here I am today to recap this disgraceful performance from yesterday. Just absolute. I mean, it's early regular season game. I understand that. Wins and losses happen in the NFL. However, anybody that saw that game last night knows the Eagles should not have lost this game to the fucking Falcons. A team that Kirk Cousins clearly not 100% yet. And what happens? Let's take a look at a couple things we can look at here. First quarter, we get marched down the field. We get in the territory. We're in range for an easy field goal from Elliott. And what do? Instead of kicking the field goal and taking the points, we try to get fancy and go for it, learning nothing from the Detroit Lions in the conference championship game against the 49ers last year. We fail to convert. And what do you know? At the end of the game, we lose by 1 point. When that field goal could have possibly won us the game, looking back on it. So there's one thing right there that went wrong. Then the second drive, we went for it on 4th down. That time I understand why we went for it. Because we were in a weird field position. We weren't exactly in field goal range, but we weren't in good punt read. So we just decided to go for it and give it a shot. And Hurts converted with his feet. And then after that, it seems like that one play, the offense started to slowly turn things around. All of a sudden, Jalen Hurts was moving with his feet and making plays that he didn't do late last year. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, maybe this offense is finally finding its groove now. And there were a few drives we got some field goals out of it. And then we got a touchdown added late. And we got a 2-point, we got the touchdown. And we got the 2-point conversion. It was like, holy smokes. The offense finally found its groove. I remember late in the game, after the touchdown, the 2-point conversion by Saquon, I'm like, all right, now the defense has to do something. We stopped the Falcons halfway before before they reach midfield on fourth down. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm thinking, all right, we got this game now. We got to close this game out, right? We stopped them before they reached midfield on fourth down. We already had the lead. We're in great field position. We can run out the clock. Then we get to that third down, 3rd and 3. Falcons use all their timeouts. We go back. Hurts rolls. Screen to Saquon. This should be automatic 9 times out of 10. But this one time it's not. It's incomplete. And then we set up for the field goal. We're up by 6. And we know what happens next. And now that brings me to the defense. No pressure whatsoever from that defense. We only got, how many sacks did we get on? 1 sack all game. That's it. We only got to him 1 time and dropped him for a loss. You mean to tell me this pass rush couldn't get something more going? We couldn't get something else going here? Are you serious? Are you serious? No pass rush whatsoever. It's just absolutely abysmal, too. We've seen clearly that this defense cannot blitz. Cannot blitz at all. They cannot get pressure on Cousins. They gave him way too much time to throw the ball. Way too much time. And guess what? He completed 20 for 29 passes, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns. And what did the Eagles do to stop the run, too? Oh, there's another great question. What did the Eagles do to stop the run? Did nothing. They did absolutely nothing to stop the run. No, they couldn't stop Bijan Robinson. He had 14 carries for 97 yards, averaging close to 7 yards a carry. I mean, that was terrible right there. I mean, just all throughout the game, I just remember being so frustrated because it's like, this team should not be struggling to beat the Falcons. We should not be struggling. This should not be a life or death struggle against the team that's at best average or below average. How is this happening? How are we playing down to competition like this? Oh my gosh, this is like Doug Peterson 2018 to 2020 all over again with the way we're playing to the Falcons here. This should not be happening, and it did. It's just really just irritating as hell to watch that game last night. And the most irritating thing was the penalties. Oh my God. A total of 9 penalties for 53 yards. It seemed like, how many big plays were undone? Apparently 9 of them at least. It was penalty, 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 penalty. You guys are watching the game, know what I'm talking about. You saw it. We just kept seeing the flags get thrown, and we're just shaking my head like, can we just get one fucking play right? Can we just get one big play without a flag? Can we? One? Just one? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous how many big plays went by. And we kept getting flagged, and they were getting erased on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And I did not get it at all. And as far as the run game goes, we did abandon the running game a little bit. And then all of a sudden, second half, we tried to get back to the run game. And when we did get back to the run game, to our credit, it was working. We did move the ball. We had a few long drives in the second half that were scored. But we were at least moving on offense. So even throughout most of the second half, when the offense stepped on the field, I was at least confident we were going to get something out of it. So when I look at the second half, I mainly blame the defense for this one, primarily. Lack of pressure all day. They made it way too easy for prime time Kirk Cousins of all people. But we got to remember something. Just because it's prime time Kirk Cousins doesn't mean you can rely solely on the fact that, oh, it's prime time Cousins. We got this one. You still have to play. If you're not careful, Kirk Cousins could still go off and get his yardage, and you can still win some games with him. And that's what the Eagles took for granted. And the coverage was awful too. What is up with the secondary? I mean, what is it? I mean, where was Darius Slay? What's going on with Slay, man? He's looking like he's lost it a bit. I feel like Darius Slay's losing it. There's one thing right there. And of course, you got Quinion Mitchell, but he's a rookie, though. I mean, he'll flash some potential at times, but it's only his rookie season, only his second game. Let's give him a little bit of time first. Maybe by the end of the season, he'll be in his groove and he'll be able to do his thing. But CJ Gardner-Johnson, I mean, what the hell? That one touchdown we gave up, he could not wrap him down. He couldn't make a tackle. Like, what the fuck was that? CJ Gardner-Johnson. That's the one thing I remember most. Now, he did contribute to the stop on fourth down, but then the defense completely collapsed minutes later. So what did that mean? It didn't mean anything. This whole game was an absolute abomination. It was. The whole fucking game. And then, of course, the late Falcons TD and the interception sealed it. But you know what? The Eagles deserved it. The Eagles deserved to lose this game. They did. Just the way they played, you ask yourself, the way they played, they played such an undisciplined and sloppy game that words that you can't even describe in words. There's so many things you can pinpoint to, like I just said. Illustrated. Yeah, Saquon's going to get some blame for the drop, but you got to remember, that's just one play. One play. And then on top of it, you also have to look at the defense. Poor job blitzing, poor job covering, the penalties. Those are the main things you could look at here. So that raised me to the question, well, who's to blame? And this is questions for the audience. Now, on my channel side of the stream, because we're live on my channel on the Hardcore Sports Network side, my channel side, I got a poll question. The poll question is, who's to blame for the loss? Or who's primarily to blame? Is it Saquon, defense, penalties, or a combination of the three? That's the question I got for you guys. If you guys haven't checked out my side of the stream, here's the link. You can check it out and vote on the poll. Clearly. So I'm going to put that actually in the chat so you guys can come on here and vote. So if you catch on the Hardcore Sports Network, here it is on my side. Live stream on my side. You can come vote on the poll on who you think. Let me know. Who do you think's to blame the most? Is it Saquon, the defense, the penalties, or multiple factors? Now, me, I feel it's multiple factors, but I'm going to let you guys that want to come on there decide and vote for who you think's to blame the most or what you think's to blame the most. At the end of the day, it's a combination of factors. It is. As far as performances go in this game, even though Jalen Hurts did throw that interception in the end, I'm actually not going to blame him necessarily for this loss. I'm going to give him the least blame despite that. Yes, he did make a poor throw there at the end. However, I do partially blame the rest of the team as well for all the boneheaded penalties that called back big plays on both sides of the ball. The defense's poor play. If we didn't do that, guess what? Hurts would not have to make that throw into double coverage at the end of that final drive. It wouldn't have even happened if we played a better game. It's just as simple as that. It is. So stupid boneheaded play, man. It really is. And you just look at it, it's just mind-boggling to me. It absolutely is. It's just mind-boggling how ridiculous that play was. Why the fuck? I mean, but you got to also look at the rest of the game because outside of that, Hurts was doing his thing. He was the lead rusher, and the tush push was working. It was working. And it was nice we got to see the tush push with Jason Kelce in the broadcast booth. to call it. That was cool. And we saw Hurts got a touchdown out of it. It was nice. So I can't blame this on him. But the defensive side of the ball, I really did not see anybody in this game on the defensive side. Show me something that stood out in a positive way. I didn't see it from this defense at all. I saw nothing positive. Vic Fangio, why he was our defensive coordinator? Why did we decide on Fangio? Seriously. I know it's only 2 weeks in the season, but guys, we've seen signs that Vic Fangio is not a great defensive coordinator. We saw his flaws in Miami. We saw some with the Chicago Bears. We saw he was not that great a defensive coordinator. Despite his potential upside, he has his flaws. We saw Miami last year against the Buffalo Bills, how they did. So I don't want to hear that. It's just atrocious. It was an atrocious effort all around. And this team, by the defense, I didn't see anything from this defense that was convincing at all. Not even from C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's one of the top pieces in that Super Bowl run a few years ago. So I didn't see this whole. But then you also look at the penalties, too. An eligible man downfield multiple times. Cam Jurgens. You stay behind the line of scrimmage. You don't move past the line of scrimmage. How fucking difficult is that to understand? Please. Either the offensive line coach should either figuratively chew out the whole line, or we should get a new offensive line coach. One or the other for the way that was done yesterday. Because there's no excuse for it. Okay, one time it happens, but oh my gosh, multiple times during the game? It's absolutely ridiculous. And there's no excuse for this whatsoever. None. Something else I can rip right there. Of course, Brandon Graham, face mask on Bijan Robinson. Just happened to come back to memory off the top of my head, but so many things about this game that was awful. And let's not forget, I know I said earlier, but that field goal. Take the point. Take the point. Just take the point, especially early in the game. You just take a field goal. There's no need to get cute that early. You're not trailing late in the fourth quarter by more than 3 points. Just take the field goal. Just so many things that were mind-boggling. Doesn't make sense in that situation. The second time around when we converted with Hurts, the following drive made sense because we were in a position where we weren't in field goal range, but we weren't in good range to punt. That made sense in that case to go for it. But the first time, just kick the field goal. You're in field goal range. If we would have just took that field goal instead of going for and turnover on downs, fourth down, whatever you want to call it, we would have scored 3 more points. We would have won this game. All around undisciplined game by this team as a whole. I blame everybody for this. I don't blame one specific player or specific, side of the ball. I blame everybody. Everyone's to blame for this loss. The whole team. As far as my letter grade for the Eagles' performance in this goes, I'm giving it a D. And the only reason I'm giving it a D is because we at least managed to keep the game competitive. And we only lost by 1 point. We were winning at certain points. So because we made it competitive, we technically did something right. And just for that, I'll give it a D for our letter grade performance for this game. Now, if we would have just got blown the fuck out 35-0, I'd have gave this a clear F. However, the way we lost this game, this was a D. Like the Super Bowl loss to Kansas City, I could give our overall performance a B despite losing because we at least put up a good effort. But this game here against the Falcons, this gets a letter grade of a D. D as in dreadful. for all the factors I just ranted about. It's not the fact that we lost early in the season. It's the way we lost. Now, the scoreboard indicates a competitive game, but to anyone that actually saw the game, or you look at the statistics, you know it was a sloppy game that cost us. And that's all I'm going to say. Everyone's to blame, including you, Nick Sirianni. The team might be getting a little hot now, I feel. And looking at our schedule now, they got the Saints and the Bucks. I'm a little bit worried now. I'm worried about the Saints now. Then they've won back-to-back games like blowout, granted, against the Panthers and then against the Cowboys. But the Cowboys are a better team than the Panthers, let's face it. Cowboys will still be a solid team despite the loss yesterday. And furthermore, guess what? We lost to the Falcons, who are clearly an inferior team to the Saints. My confidence in the Week 3's game against the Saints is low as of today. Especially the way the Saints beat the Cowboys on Sunday. The same Cowboys team we usually split with every single season. Our performance last night has my confidence low. And considering that Tampa Bay just beat the Detroit Lions, who I still think are one of the top teams in the NFC, despite the fact they lost yesterday, we got to play them after the Saints. I'm thinking there's a chance we could be 1-3. I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm just being paranoid, but there is a realistic chance it could happen. Sadly, it could. I mean, I'm sorry, but 1-3 looks realistic at this point. I mean, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we get it together. Maybe we upset the Saints. As of today, the confidence in that happening isn't too high, but maybe somehow we get an upset of the Saints. Or maybe we fall short against the Saints and then we beat the Bucks. We're 2-2. I don't know. Maybe something works out, but there is a pot. Or maybe we win both games. Who knows? I would love for that to happen, but at this point, my confidence we're going to be 3-1 after these next two games against the Saints and the Bucks is low at this point. But we'll have to see on that one. That's going to be for another time. But the point of what I was saying is last night's performance, yeah, it looked close on paper, but it was a lot worse because we should not have lost this game by 1 point. If we were really on our A game, we should have blew out the Falcons. Or at least beat them by 10 or more or 11 points, something along that line, if we were actually on our A game. Should have won minimum 1 by 10 points if we were on our A game. But we didn't. We lost by 1 instead. That's why I'm so mad about this performance. Okay? If this were a high-scoring game against San Fran that was fully healthy and we lost by 1 point, I could live with that, and I wouldn't be as upset. But against the Falcons in a sloppy game, different story. I'm mad. And I'm not confident that we got to play a better team next week. Now, but that's what you get for taking the Falcons for granted. You think just because it's Kirk Cousins, you beat him last 2 weeks in week 2 when he was with the Vikings, and if on paper he's with the worst squad, doesn't mean you sleep on them and take it for granted. And the Eagles had to learn that lesson the hard way last night. I'll leave it at that. Everybody, coaching staff, Sirianni, Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, the assistant, the position coaches, the defensive players, offensive players, everyone needs to get it together and do better. Now, granted, some of the players, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, even Saquon, despite that drop pass, they gave their best effort. I mean, that mistake on Saquon's the thing people remember the most. But like I said, you have 3 or 4 other factors that you can look at as well as the blame, not just Saquon. He doesn't get off the hook for it because if you catch that, we run out the clock. You got to get your hands on those ball. You got to get your hands on those ball. Get your hands on it. Get a tight grip. Catch the ball. That's what you have to do. And he didn't do it. So everyone gets the blame for this. Some of the other players pulled their best weight. I'm not going to be as hard on them, but as a whole, everyone get it together. I'll leave it at that. You know what? Hey, we Eagles fans, we're going to support them no matter what. No matter what, win, lose, tie. 16-1 Super Bowl champs, 1-16. No matter what, it's fly, Eagles fly, and we're going to rock with them. So everyone that tuned in, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this stream here. Wishing you have a wonderful rest of your night, or if you're catching this on the replay Wednesday, Thursday, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time, Snicky Steez signing off. Fly, Eagles, fly, and I will catch y'all next time.